بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. We begin, brothers and sisters, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Indeed, all praises are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send His peace and blessings upon our noble messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Azhar Zaidi, and I am going to be your host today in reviewing the itinerary of two of the programs for Seera Mawasim. So please notice, and first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time wherever you are. It's 11 a.m. Eastern time here, but I'm sure there are people in different geographies that have different time. But thank you for taking the time on this Sunday. And I am sure that this will be of benefit to you and help you to prepare for your journey, inshallah. I have disabled the Q&A section, the folder, and the reason for it is because people tend to start asking questions before the webinar even ends, and chances are that most of the questions are answered in the course of the webinar. So we'll allow ample time at the end of the webinar to actually have you ask questions in that folder. I will not be looking at the chat folder at all for the question that you may have. This webinar is being recorded, and inshallah, the recording will be made available tomorrow in the Hajj Guidance Network, where we have all our recordings, inshallah. So the webinar consists of a presentation that I will go through, detailing the itinerary in steps, and then we'll have a Q&A. Again, let's just go through the itinerary in steps and make sure that you are attending the correct webinar. And for that, I'll actually share with you what this webinar is about. So this webinar is to review the itinerary of the two programs that we have. And one is the SID Signature A, and the other is the SID Signature B. These are both a 14-day program, non-shifting. And this doesn't matter if the camp you have is Majr al-Kabsh or the camp you have is Al-Mu'assim. It really doesn't matter. So long as you are in either of these programs, you should be attending this session. So this is the schedule for the webinars. So right now we're having one for 14-day non-shifting. Then we have at 2 p.m. a 10-day non-shifting for Executive A and B. And then the following week we have for Seera 14-day shifting. And then of course, the last one we have is for Essentials A and Essentials B. So just make sure you attend the correct webinar. What tends to happen, sometimes people don't pay attention and they attend the wrong webinar and they pick up the wrong information, and that causes tremendous amount of confusion. So if you are in Signature A and B, this is the webinar for you now. If you are an Executive A and B, that webinar will start at 2 p.m. Eastern Time today. If you are in SID Deluxe Program, there is no Deluxe A, just say Deluxe Program, then that's April the 12th at 11. And then, of course, the following week, the last one is Essentials A and B. In order for you to gain the most, you should know your package that you purchase. You should know that you have a package. You should know the hotels. You should know the camp. That's the minimum. That it will allow you to then go through the presentation and connect the dots, cross the T's and dot the I's, because you know what your package is all about. It's 1 to 4 Zulhijjah in Medina, and then 4 to 14 in Mecca. And during that 4 to 14, you have the manasik of Hajj from the 8th of Zulhijjah to the 12th. And I'm going to walk you through that. What I would like you to do, and I know you have questions, what I would like you to do is make notes. Take a piece of paper and pen and make notes during the course of the presentation. You have your questions? Yes, you probably have written it down. As I go through the presentation, if I've answered it, you can cross it off. If there are new things that you're picking up from the presentation, write that down. And if you have questions, the new ones, then please post it at the end of the session. I do not promise that I will answer all of the questions, but I will answer the questions as many as I can. But please make the questions limited to logistics and admin topics. If your questions is about the fiqh of Hajj, then that will be held separately, and you have the shuyukhs there to answer those religious questions. This is the place for admin and logistics. So partition this in your mind that we have two tracks. We have an administrative logistics track, and we have the religious and spiritual track. This is all about admin and logistics. We are going to be with you, inshallah, during your journey. And on both sides, both tracks, you'll have the shuyukhs to cover the spiritual aspects, and you have the guides also to cover the logistics aspect. So if you keep it separate, you'll be able to put it together later on. So just keep this one to the logistics of Hajj. Just to reiterate again, the responsibility for delivering the services to you is owned by the Hajj service provider companies in Saudi Arabia. In this case, it's Seera Mawasim. They're responsible for all the airline arrangements and accommodations in the kingdom, all transportation, services in the camps, and much more. What do Hajj guides do? They're assigned by them, Saudi Hajj service provider, and that is to be in a supporting role to deliver the Hajj services to you. I want you to understand the actual role between what a Hajj guide does and what the service provider does. Now I'm going to share with you the details. There are too many variables that are outside our control. That this is going to happen and that's going to happen and it's going to happen in this sequence. Sometimes they don't happen that way. Sometimes things change because of the variables outside our control. So what this says here is that the information we're providing you may change when the time comes because of those variables. To understand your itinerary and to understand logistics, there's only two things you need to attend. Number one, we had general logistics sessions. They're very comprehensive. I believe those presentations went on for 2 hours and the Q&A went for half an hour. They was specific to the camp. On March 28th, we held the general logistics on Majr al-Kabsh, and 29th we had the one for Al-Mu'assim. So if you attended it, you'll gain from it. If you didn't attend it, then the recording of that is in our Hajj Guidance Network under the Camp and Program Guidance section. So between this logistics session that was held on the 28th and 29th of March and today's session covering your itinerary, I think you should have a pretty good grounding and understanding of how the administrative and logistical aspects of your itinerary will happen when you're there, inshallah. That's part of your preparation. So what are we going to cover today? I'm going to walk you through the itinerary in steps, and then we'll open up the Q&A. So departing for Hajj, we say you need 3 pieces of luggage. The suitcase that you take with you, just take one. Are you allowed 2? Yes, you're allowed 2 in economy class. If you're taking a group flight from North America, North Americans, they allow 2 pieces of suitcase. If you're in Europe, they probably go with the 1 pieces, 30 kilo. Depends on where you are. But we believe that 1 is sufficient. Now imagine 1 suitcase, 1 roll-on bag, which is important because that's where your stuff will go in when you're taking it to Mina. And then 1 backpack, because when you go from Mina to Arafat to Muzdalifah, that going to Arafat, staying overnight in Muzdalifah, you don't need the roll-on bag, you take the backpack. These 3 pieces are sufficient for you. Now just imagine if you're in a quad room, where normally rooms consist of 2 beds and 2 extra beds. Imagine if everybody had luggage there. You can all fit it in, but it'll be very difficult to sort of walk through in the room. So if you can't live with these 3 pieces, try to minimize it. And you may say, well, I need to know the packing list. People tend to, my 30 plus years of experience is people tend to overpack. So inshallah, we'll try to provide you with the packing list in about 2 weeks' time. Hopefully, we'll try and provide you before your next sessions that are held in April 25th, I believe. Around that time, we'll try to provide you that packing list, and so you can go through and see, okay, I don't need this. Yeah, this is a good idea, and then go accordingly. Don't overpack, but this is why we recommend you take the 3 pieces. Be at the airport early. This is not the time to miss your flight. This is not the time to show up late. I missed my flight. What do I do? So be there early. Check-in counter is normally open 4 hours prior to departure. So be there. Now, those who are going to join an international flight from their home country, but they're taking prior to that a domestic flight to get to the international flight in their country. So I'm talking within the United States, within Australia, within Canada, for example. So I'm not talking about international flight themselves. Let's say your flight to Saudi Arabia is on Turkish Airlines or on Saudi Airlines, as an example. And you're going to board that flight on Turkish or Saudi from JFK. But you live in Columbus, Ohio, and you're going to take a Delta flight from Columbus, Ohio to JFK. When you check in at the Delta counter in Columbus, Ohio, the agent might say, I can check your luggage all the way through to Medina. And you might say, that's convenient, let's just do it. What I am saying to you is don't do it. Because what that implies is that Delta will hand over your luggage to the international carrier at JFK. And when this doesn't happen, when you arrive in Medina and you can't find your luggage, it's also untraceable. Because we go and we tell Saudi Airlines or Turkish Airlines, whichever airline you took, here's my luggage tag. But they look at the luggage tag, that's a Delta tag. And they can't find it in the system. So your luggage actually never arrives. It arrives only because somebody accidentally at JFK looks at the luggage and goes, wait a minute, it's supposed to have gone. And then 3 days later he sends it. So it becomes a nightmare for you. Just for the sake of convenience, you try to do this. But what I'm asking you to do is if you're taking a domestic flight within your country, check your luggage in that domestic flight to the international port of departure. So in this case, in this example, check your luggage from Columbus, Ohio to JFK. Claim it at JFK. Delta only will carry it to JFK. Claim it at JFK. When you now walk in to check in with either Saudi or international airline, whichever it is, when you give it to them, they issue the luggage tag for their carrier. They take the responsibility. They are the ones that are taking you to Saudi Arabia. They are the ones that are taking your luggage to Saudi Arabia. If, God forbid, your luggage is misplaced, they can track it because it's in their system because you checked in with them. You didn't rely on another airline handing it over to them. So that's a bit of a caution that I mentioned in the general logistics, and I'm mentioning it again because this little bit of inconvenience for you, it is a tremendous help later on should, God forbid, your luggage get misplaced. Remember, millions of people are showing up, thousands of people are traveling, and hundreds of flights are landing each day, right? Now, once you arrive in Medina, depends. When I say immigration and customs may take some time due to volume, if your flight shows up and there's two other flights, you'll see a queue to get to the immigration counter, right? So if your flight is one of the first ones, then you could be quicker. But when you go through immigration counter, they stamp your passport, they take your picture, your fingerprints, then you go downstairs to the carousel and you claim your luggage there. Lots of luggage carts are available, porters are available. But one thing that I ask you to do is just don't take a cursory look at your suitcase in the luggage belt. Make sure it's yours. It should have some sort of an ID on it that you put on it. Make sure it's yours. You only pick up your suitcase. And if you should not find your suitcase, then there is a counter there for reporting lost luggage. You do that and you get that receipt over to us and we'll try and track it for you. But make sure you claim your luggage. Nobody can go inside that secure area except for the passengers and those who are responsible, the authorities there. So you take your luggage and you go through customs, and when you exit, that's when you'll meet our representative. Now, anybody traveling with a green card from the United States or permanent resident card, make sure that you take that with you. It will not be used in Saudi Arabia. Nobody will ask for it, but you will need it in order to return back to your home country. You take it with you and you keep it with you in person and safe. When you exit the customs area, you're met with our representative, and they will then have you sit in a place until they arrange the bus. It is not their bus. Seera Mawasim will not be arranging the buses, and other service provider will not be arranging the buses. In order for them to manage the congestion on the road, it is a third party service provider that the government contracts with that is responsible for the transportation out of the airport to the city. So they will arrange with that third party service provider for your bus, and then will direct you where to go. And you go there, you make sure your luggage is on the bus, and then you get on the bus, inshallah. The hotel, generally speaking, in Medina is about 30 minutes from the airport after the bus leaves the airport. In the case of Signature A and B, there's two hotels. I think Signature A is in Hilton and B is in Movenpick. And you can see both of them are just very close to Masjid al-Nabawi. If you haven't been there before, this is a satellite view showing you the proximity of the hotel to Masjid al-Nabawi. You can easily walk there every time you want to go for prayers. When you check in, remember, a standard hotel room consists of two beds, but you happen to be in a triple occupancy or quad occupancy. I want you to know that the additional beds, besides the two beds, are rollaway beds. What the service provider does, it simply assigns you to the room. They don't assign you to a bed. So if you happen to be in a triple or a quad room, you might find you walk in there that there's this temporary bed, and you might say, wait a minute, how come I didn't get a proper bed? I paid the same as the other guy. It's because that's the way the beds are configured, and that's the way they actually price the triples and the quads, right? They don't ask for a full price, they ask for the price for that extra bed. So just be aware. Do not let shaitan get to you, right? That's the way it is, and be considerate of others in the room. If you think somebody else deserves to be in the proper bed, then share that. Just give them that bed and you be in the temporary bed, or vice versa. Just know that the room consists of two beds, and two temporary beds, or third and fourth one are temporary beds. That's standard in Saudi Arabia to accommodate all the pilgrims. The check-in time is 5 p.m. And you might say, I've traveled for 20 some hours, 30 hours, and I arrived at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Where is my room? And they will say, well, please wait for your room. So you might not like that because you expect the room to be ready right away. If you go and look at your hotels today, go into their website, they'll say the check-in time is 5 p.m. And that's the general check-in time. During Hajj, people depart not necessarily at 5 p.m. They'll probably depart at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They'll go for Dhuhr, come back, and then depart. Or they'll go for Dhuhr, they'll come back and take a shower, put on their ihram, and then depart. And then the room has to be clean. So the hotels are all at capacity. So if you're coming at 11 o'clock in the morning, or 10 o'clock in the morning, or 12 noon, know that you probably have to wait. And what we will do is find a place for you to actually rest, or leave your belongings and go to the haram and spend some time until your room is available, while we work with the hotel to make the room available as soon as possible. Generally, we have a list of people coming in that day, and we start working with the hotel the evening before. And then we chase housekeeping to clean those rooms first, as compared to some of the other rooms that are also being empty, so we can get you the room as soon as possible. Bottom line, you come in earlier, you have to wait till your room's ready. Those are coming in at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, flights that land in, they will probably have the rooms ready because they would have had their rooms for the night before. But those whose accommodation starts on the 1st of Dhul Hijjah, if your accommodation starts on the 18th and you're coming in at 11 o'clock in the morning, you'd probably have to wait. The days that you are in Medina, it's really meant for you to spend time resting, and also to take part in some of the activities. But it's very simple. You don't normally get lost. And that is that when you walk into the courtyard of Masjid al-Nabawi, there are huge numbers on the gates. Just know the gate number that you're familiar with. Then once you become familiar with the gate number, then you know exactly how to get back to your hotel. There will be timing for open buffet breakfast and dinner in the restaurant of the hotel, so you don't have to worry about meals. There will be, inshallah, ziyarah of Medina, where we take you on a bus tour in one of these days, and take you to Masjid Quba and to Uhud, where the Battle of Uhud took place. And so, if you want to participate in that, look for the instructions. There will also be a fiqh of Umrah and Hajj session. As you depart from Medina to go to Mecca for Umrah and Hajj, there will be a session held. So look for those announcements. And all of these guidance will be provided to you by our Hajj guide. And generally speaking, we'll communicate through group WhatsApp. So right now, we have a general group WhatsApp for all of the Seera group, just one WhatsApp group. Everybody in Seera is in that WhatsApp group. Now, once the visas come through, once the guides get their visas, we will actually split this group into individual groups. There'll be separate group for signature A, separate group for signature B, and we'll make sure that the group is large enough that we have a guide in that group so it becomes very specific. You will know who your guide is and you will know what your group is. So this is simply a stage for communication, the large WhatsApp group, and because we want to stop sending messages on emails and messages on Telegram. Now that we know that you have purchased the packages and we're responsible for you, we have asked you to move into this group WhatsApp. So if you have not joined it, please do join. And eventually we'll transfer you from this group WhatsApp to individual smaller group based on your program. But all communication over there is through group WhatsApp. We'll publish the itinerary for you so you'll know when the events are being held, what time it's being held. And the group WhatsApp will then give you the specific. For example, it will tell you, okay, we'll go for ziyarah after breakfast at 8 o'clock, meet us in the lobby. So that's how the communication will be. Okay. On day 3, which is 20th of May, you came in on the 18th, you had 19th, the 18th was the first of Dhul Hijjah. You spent the night of the 18th, you spend the 19th, you're spending the 20th. On the 21st, you're going to leave for Mecca. So on the 20th, the day before, we don't want you to take your checked luggage with you. That suitcase is too much to manage, especially for those men who are not used to ihram and putting the ihram on for the first time. So what we do is, for your convenience, we'll actually take your checked luggage from you. The checked luggage is restricted as to how much you can carry on the high-speed train. So we will actually give you specific instructions through group WhatsApp by your Hajj guide that when to have your checked luggage available outside your room so we can pick it up and transfer it to Mecca before you leave. It is important that you prepare your luggage appropriately, following the instructions. It is important that you put your luggage outside the room on time or before time, but not after time. The entire hotel is likely going to check out on the 4th. Entire hotel. So those concierge running up and down picking up luggages will be making just one round. If I told you I want your luggage outside your room at 6 p.m. and you're saying, wait a minute, I like to go and for Maghrib and then I'll come back and I'll put the luggage out at 6:30, don't do that. Put it out there at 5 o'clock because you have to go for Maghrib, for example. Put it earlier, but don't put it later. Again, when you're doing this, you have to keep in mind that you're still spending the night. You still have your ihram with you because you're going to put that on the next day. And do not ever put your hand carry luggage, that roll-on bag, or your medicine or valuables, that's still with you. The passport's with you. It's in the safety deposit box, so forth. Just the suitcase is going out there and you're keeping back your ihram and so forth. Now comes the day 4, May 21st, 4th of Dhul Hijjah. This is the day you're departing at the end of your stay in Medina. You have to do all of your pre-ihram preparation in your hotel room, trimming nails, removing unwanted hair, making ghusl. When I say allow sufficient time to prepare for ihram, if you're in a quad occupancy, there are 4 people that'll be going and using that single bathroom. So keep that in mind. If I were to ask you to come downstairs to board your bus to the train station at 1:30 p.m., because we don't have the train timing yet, but assume it's going to be after Dhuhr. If I ask you to come in at 1:30 p.m., you time yourself. Some people will start getting ready in the morning. So you time yourself so that everybody has a chance to get ready. The men will wear the ihram garment in the hotel room. They will not change into the ihram garment on the way. It'll actually happen in the hotel room. The woman will wear whatever the garment she's wearing to enter into ihram with. All happens in the hotel room. You simply go downstairs to board the bus to the train station on time. Right? Now, the hand carry luggage, emptying the safety deposit box, all of that is your responsibility. So your suitcase is gone. You take your hand carry luggage with you downstairs. Then somebody will guide you as to which bus to board, and you go in there and make sure hand carry luggage is in that bus and you get on that bus. Okay? How do I and where do I make my intention for Umrah? Because you're going to be making Hajj Tamattu. Hajj Tamattu is where you make Ihram for Umrah and come out of Ihram because you have a few days still left for Hajj to begin. And then you make another Ihram for Hajj on the day Hajj begins. So this Ihram is for Umrah. You have made the ghusl, you put on the Ihram garment that does not put you in the state of Ihram. The inner state of Ihram is the state of Ihram is the state of your mind, the state of your heart. So the scholars have said that you must be on the way. The journey must have started, and then you enter into the state of Ihram before you cross the miqat. Right? So we're going to be taking, inshallah, the Haramain high-speed train. The tickets to the train will be distributed on the way to the train station, in the bus, most likely. So I have now left my place of residence, which is the hotel. I'm now on the way. So where do I make my intention? Well, it can be made on the bus to the train station. It can be made as you get on the train. And the reason we're doing it, because the miqat for those coming from Medina is barely half an hour by road outside Medina. By train, literally within 5 to 7 minutes after the train departs, you cross the miqat. Within 5 minutes, you cross the miqat. So we tend to actually have people make the intention before they get, or as they get to the train station. And they have the intention for ihram at that time. The train itself takes about 2 hours and 15 minutes between Medina station and Mecca station. It's very efficient, very comfortable. Once you get to Mecca station, you take your belongings, your hand carry luggage from the train. Make sure your mobile phone is with you, and then we'll have you board the bus and get to your hotel in Mecca. This is the 4th of Dhul Hijjah. You're arriving in Mecca on the 4th of Dhul Hijjah, and Hajj begins on the 8th, so you have a few days. I just want you to reflect just for a moment. We leave on the 4th from Medina, and 2.5 hours we're in Mecca on the same day, on the 4th. When the Prophet ﷺ made his Hajj, he departed Medina on the 24th of Zulqa'dah. 24th of Zulqa'dah. He rode his camel, he walked. It took him 9 days. He arrived on the 4th of Zulhijjah, as you will be, inshallah, but it took him 9 days, that which will take us 2.5 hours. Just reflect on that for a moment as to the journey itself. Again, you're responsible for your hand carry luggage. Make sure you take it from the train, make sure it's on the bus, and you take it off the bus and into the hotel. The hotels in Mecca are all right across from the Haram. A and B, Fairmont and Swiss Hotel. It's part of the Clock Tower complex, so they're not far away. Again, I won't go through the room configuration. I think you've understood that from the first time I mentioned it. This is regardless of whether you're in Mu'assim or Majal al-Kabsh. The room in Mecca is all the same. I don't think there should be an issue for checking time because you'll be coming in afterwards. Now, what happens? When you come in on the 4th, you're all excited, right? We want you to perform Umrah and rest. Perform your Umrah and rest. I know people get excited if they're going for the first time. They want to spend as much time in the Haram as possible. If you have the ability to do so, go ahead. But if you don't force yourself. Rest is important. Pacing yourself is important. The most important day of Hajj is yet to come. And so Haram is usually crowded, unlike Medina. When people go for Maghrib, they actually, if they want to go inside for Maghrib, they will start their walk to the Haram as soon as the crowd comes out after Asr. They're going inside for Maghrib time. And they will not move until after Isha is over. Between Maghrib and Isha is only an hour and 10 minutes. It's completely packed. So you have to allow extra time to go for prayers and return to the hotel. Again, two meals are provided, breakfast and dinner. On those days, the 4th, 5th, and 6th, there are no activities in Mecca. Unlike the tour in Medina, Mecca, there is no tour because the tour takes you to Arafat and Mina and Muzdalifah, and you're going to be going there anyway as part of your Hajj. So basically, on the 4th, you come in, you do your Umrah, and then you rest on the 5th and on this on and the 6th, and you enjoy the time in the Haram. But please pace yourself. 10 lectures were scheduled. It's tentative. There seems to be some restrictions on whether lectures can or cannot be held. Given the situation in the Middle East now, they might be even more restrictive. But we'll give you the guidance as we get there to know whether we can or cannot have lectures as such. But WhatsApp group is still available for communication. Okay. On the 7th day, which is the day before you're going to go to Mina, you're now in normal clothes. You've been out of Ihram when you perform your Umrah on the 4th. Now you're going to start preparing for your days of Hajj, the reason why you're going to Saudi Arabia. You have to pack your belongings for the stay in Mina, Arafat, and Muzdalifah. Since you retain your hotel room, you are in a non-shifting package. You don't need to worry about your suitcase. That checked luggage remains in your hotel room as you leave for Mina. Right? So you have to bear that in mind when you pack. Valuables like passport, credit card, debit card, that's in the safety deposit box in the room in your hotel. You don't have to worry about taking that. Okay? So this is where the difference comes in. Those who are in Majr al-Kabsh pack differently than those who are in Mu'assim because of the logistics of those camps, the distances of those camps, especially the transportation logistics. So those are in Majr al-Kabsh, and I'll go through each camp separately, by the way. Those are in Majr al-Kabsh. You should know your program. All you need to do is pack what you need for an overnight stay in Mina. You're going to go on the 8th of Zulhijjah. You're going to stay overnight, and then you move on to Arafat next day. So you need maybe hand towel. I don't know what toiletries you will need. Perhaps an unscented soap, toothpaste, toothbrush. You don't need nail cutters and all that stuff, right? You're going to stay overnight in Mina. Next day, you're in Ihram. You'll be in Ihram the next day. You'll still be in Ihram on the 10th of Zulhijjah. And you will need a prayer mat. Notice I said backpack. No need to take the carry-on. No need to take the change of clothes. And that's because when you come back from Muzdalifah on the 10th of Zulhijjah, you'll be returning to your hotel. Inshallah, excuse me, there will be transportation from your Mina camp or outside Mina camp to come back to the hotel, right? So you're going in Ihram on the 8th of Zulhijjah to Mina, in Ihram to Arafat on the 9th, overnight in Ihram in Muzdalifah. You come back on the 10th, the day of Eid in Ihram. You don't need to change your clothes because then you'll be coming to the hotel. And I'll go through that individually when I cover the camp. So for now, this is what you think of when you're thinking of packing, right? I want my medicine. When I'm in Arafat, I will need my Quran. I will need my dua book. Oh, by the way, I need some energy bars to be used over there. I don't want to eat too much. Power bank is fully charged because not every place will have an electrical outlet, etc. If I am using a CPAP machine, I better carry that with me because I'll need that in Mina. I'm staying overnight, for example, right? So you have to keep that in mind. So you pack minimally, if you will. I don't need my change of clothes. However, if you're in Muassim camp, it's a different story. And that is, you need to take your change of clothes with you, then a bath towel, and a lightweight sleeping bag for Muzdalifah. And this was recommended by someone who has actually been administrating programs in Muzdalifah, in that when the way the transportation works between Arafat and Muzdalifah, sometimes people arrive and there is no place to sleep or there is no sleeping bag available for them. You go into a camping store, take a sleeping bag that has a weight of maybe 2 pounds, You know that you can see the weight of the sleeping bag, which is the filling. The filling should not be more than 2 pounds. It's meant for summer. Becomes, it rolls up into very something small, and you actually take that with you. What change of clothes you will need? Well, at least one change of clothes, if not two, and any other essential item. Why am I taking change of clothes, you will say? But I am in my hotel in Mecca. Why can't I come back to the hotel in Mecca? This is the part where the actual transportation from Al Muassim is different than transportation from Majr al Kabsh. And from Al Muassim, it is actually controlled by the Hajj ministry. Because it is in the middle of the valley of Mina, all the roads in the middle of the valley of Mina is completely shut down. You cannot enter with any transportation in there. The roads are empty. That's because it's full of people, just the sheer amount of people. So they may not be able to get a bus in to actually take you from there, but they will set some schedule. We don't know what that is. So just for that sake, for the sake of the not knowing what the schedule is like, I think you're better off to take a change of clothes that you may have to shower and change and come out of ihram in Mina, which is why we're advising that you take your hand carry bag with your change of clothes and a bath towel, take a sleeping bag with you, and a backpack. Because when you go from Mina to Arafat, you don't take your hand carry luggage. You don't take that roll on bag. You take just the backpack and your sleeping bag. Okay? I'll cover that when I cover the actual camps itself. Hopefully, this is clear. Now, what do you take to Mina? Regardless of whether you're in Al Muassim, regardless whether you're in Majal al Kabsh, on the day you're departing, depending on when your guide tells you to depart, let's say we're going to leave right after breakfast, chances are you'll start getting ready early in the morning, perhaps some before Maghrib, some before Fajr, and some right after Fajr, right? So basically, you will actually do the same thing. You probably won't have much nail to trim because the nails have grown for 4 days since you last did it in Medina. But you definitely have to make ghusl and put on your ihram garment in the hotel room. And then make the intention of ihram for Hajj in the hotel room. So you make the intention for Hajj just like we made the intention for Umrah after we left the hotel in Medina on the way to the train station. Here you make the intention in your place of residence. And your spiritual guide will help you with that. Basically, before you leave the room to get on the bus to go to Mina, you make the intention. You can pray 2 rak'ah and you make the intention. Labbaik Allahumma hajjan. As to when to leave, probably after breakfast, but we'll confirm the timing for you. It's too early for that. And all the administrative guidance will be provided by your Hajj guide. He will probably be with you in the bus to go to Mina. Again, valuables, passport, and all that, you don't take that to the manasik of Hajj. You keep that in your hotel room. You check luggage in your hotel room. But you take the stuff you need for Mina and Arafat and Muzdalifah. Okay? The Mina camp. There's two of them. I want you to take a good look at this picture. This is the dark area that you see around on the top and at the bottom and on the right side. These are mountains, right? This is a Google map view. And you see on the bottom left side, these are all the buildings, hotels, residents. This is a place called Azizia. This is a suburb of Mecca. And you can see the white stuff that you see, these are the camps of Mina. And those roads that you see in the valley, it's going to be completely shut down. No buses will enter there. And you can see what Muassim is. Muassim is further away from the Jamarat than Majal al-Kabsh is, which is across from the Jamarat. Right? And so the buses don't come to either camp. The buses won't even come to Majal al-Kabsh. But Majal al-Kabsh is closer to the exit of Mina. You have to walk and you'll be able to exit Mina. That's not the case with us, right? So we depend on the transportation as they schedule it to come in as such. So this is the camp, and I'm going to go through each of the camps separately. So if you're in Majal Cup, pay attention to the Majal Cup session, and if you're in Muassim, pay attention to the Muassim session. Okay. So here's the difference. Walking to the Jamarat from Majal Cup is about 15 to 20 minutes because it's right across. Walking to Jamarat from Al Muassim is more like an hour one way. And I'm talking one way. I'm not talking both ways. Hour to go, hour to come back. Right? Walking in from Masjid al-Qabs is 15 to 20 minutes to go and 15 to 20 minutes to come back. How do I go from my camp in Mina to Arafat and Muzdalifah and back to Mina? If I am in Masjid al-Qabs, I take the Al-Mashayir train. If I am in Al-Mu'assim, I take rotational buses. It's not even my bus. It buses that rotates and takes people from destination A to destination B. And you'll have to wait your turn. You'll be scheduled to take the bus from Mina to Arafat. You'll be scheduled to take the bus from Arafat to Muzdalifah and so forth. Shuttle buses. Transfers, when I have to go from Mina back to Mecca, I will take buses or train. When I'm going from there to there's nobody to going to Medina, so train is irrelevant. But in Al Muassim, because of this location, because the fact that they closed the roads, it's all government shuttle buses that they manage. Access to Mecca Hotel and Azizia, it's available through shuttle service, not because the bus comes to the camp in Majid al-Kabsh. It's because you walk to the bus from Majid al-Kabsh about 2 kilometers or 1.25 miles. You have to walk through the tunnel because you are at the edge of Mina. It's easy for you to walk out. But in the case of Al-Muassim, you're smack in the middle of it. Yeah, they will give you access, yes, but there'll be limited transportation and often it's not available, which is why we were suggesting that while you have access to your room, getting there is the issue and getting back is the issue. You may have to come up with a strategy to do that, and we'll talk about that separately later on, perhaps not in this session, as to how do you do that. And that's because of the location of the camp and who controls and manages the transportation. Meals during Mina and Arafat, it's open buffet catering. In the case of Al Muassim, it's open buffet in Mina, but I believe it's a box lunch in Arafat. Meals during Muzdalifah, most people don't want to eat much anyway. It's still a box meal, mainly dry food. And the camp setup is also different. In the case of Majal al-Kabsh, the men and women are in separate assigned tents, but within the same compound group. Same camp compound. So security is one. You enter through the gate, and then you have different section for the men, different section for the women. They have their own bathrooms. They have their own catering areas. But in the case of Al-Muassim, they're actually separate areas within. And within that, they have their own designated access point. If I am in Seera and there is another service provider out there, I can't even walk into that area because that's another service provider. So they actually divide up the areas within the camp. And within that, they also even divide up gender specific. Chances are, if you're going with your wife and you're in Al-Muassim, that you as a man cannot go see your wife, but she can come out. So you have to find an area where you can actually meet, but you cannot go into the women's section. So that's the way they set it up in Al-Muassim. That's the general difference, if you will, or differences between the two camps. Now, regardless of the camp, the accommodations in Mina, the tent space is allocated for each person. You'll have your own designated area by program with your own bedding and sleeper chair, pillow and cover and blanket, and I'll share that with you, a picture. Just make sure you keep it clean. Everybody's responsible for making it clean. Just dispose of it. If you're bringing your food inside the camp, make sure you take it out. Make sure you keep it clean. And make sure when it comes times for prayer, there are no separate areas, open areas where you can go and have a jama'ah. You actually pray within your camp. And it's going to be too hot to pray outside anyway. And what you do is you fold up the foam sleeper chair during the day so that people will line up and have their congregational prayers and also for lectures. Again, women are in separate tents. I'm giving you an idea. The temperature is likely to be more towards 109 than 100. And remember, the canopies of the tent, even though it's air conditioned inside, the top part is open. So you kind of feel the heat during the day, midday, as such. So just keep yourself hydrated. You're still outside in the desert. Meals are catering stations separate for men and women. There usually is variety in meals. And normally, for you to be hydrated, They probably will have fridge and insulated coolers everywhere in the camp throughout, with tea and coffee available for you to have. Bathrooms are North American style bathrooms. Within the bathroom, you have handheld showers and ceramic tiles. But you know what tends to happen is not before Hajj, not before Arafat, but after Arafat. People will go and shave their head and clog the sink, or somebody will go and take a shower and leave their soggy ihram in the stall, not caring about who the next person and what the next person is going to be using it as well. Just bear that in mind. Make it clean for the next person. There's no need to wash clothes in the bathroom, etc. Discard ihram. There are places for you to throw the ihram if you don't want it. So now this accommodation that I mentioned in Mina, which is the tents where you stay, the meals, and the bathrooms, is common across both camps. Now I'm going to be specific about Majr al-Kab. So if you are in SID signature A, or if you are in SID signature B, and you are in Majr al-Kab's camp, this is where you pay attention. Those who are in Al-Muassim, your section will come in later. I'm going to cover the entire Majr al-Kabsh for signature A and B, and then I'll cover the entire Muassim for signature A and B. So I'm going to start with Majr al-Kabsh. Okay? So this is the location of your camp. That shaded area is where the camp is. You see that King Fahad Road? That's one of the main roads on the side of the valley. Notice the Jamarat is in this red marked circle. That's where the Jamarat is, where you throw the stones. And then notice in the bottom left side where the train station is. And I'm going to cover all of that. So this is your location with respect to the Jamarat and the train station. Now this is a picture of it. And the picture is much better than a Google view. This picture was probably taken the day that Hajj was coming to an end. I think probably the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. You can see the road with the two tunnels right smack in the middle, entrance to the tunnel. That's where Mina ends. So when I say you have availability of buses, where you see these buses lined up, that's because when the Hajj comes to an end and everybody has to leave, most have to leave Mina, that's when they open up the road to allow the buses to come. Other than that, this road has no buses. So when you have to go to your hotel, you walk through that tunnel. On the other side of the tunnel is where we have our buses to take you. Unfortunately, that's not the setup in Muassim, because Muassim is not anywhere near the edge of the cap. And those buildings that you see on the left side, those are cylindrical, circular buildings. These are simply access point to the Jamarat. We'll cover that in a moment. So the picture tells you much better, right, where the camp is. So when you arrive on the morning of the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, on day 8, you're going to go find your place. You're going to explore a little bit of the camp. You're staying overnight, and you're going to offer Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha prayers in congregation. The Sheikh will be with you. He'll be leading the prayers. There'll be some lectures, some guidance about departure the next day to Arafat. All that will happen. But you're staying overnight in Mina. Please get plenty of rest and stay away from idle talk and engage in dhikr. You're not used to this setup. You're not used to the number of people that are in the camp. They're absolutely not used to it. So you have to get used to it. One of the things that I find myself doing is that, I'm tired and I can take a nap for half an hour, for 1 hour. That is fine. Just make sure you are rested, because the most important day of the entire trip is coming up, right? Remember, you're hydrated. That's what I meant by pace yourself in Mecca, right? So here's a picture. So this is typically an evening picture of the hallway of the camp. I can see the people have left their shoes. There are some shoe racks, but not enough. Shoes are outside, and these are doors on the left and the right to enter the camp. And that's the type of the hallway. That's the narrow hallway that you see in here. And then, of course, the setup in Majr al-Kab last year was something like this. That blue stuff that you see is the foam sleeper chair. You pull it out, it becomes about 8 inches foam mattress on the ground for you to sleep. Okay, you fold it up, it becomes a chair. And you can see that they have their pillow and so forth all there. And so when time comes to pray or time comes for lecture, you actually fold it up. Here we have Sheikh Siddiq giving a lecture, and everybody's there in a men's camp listening to what he has to say. Right? So if you have a group leader telling you about departure plans, all that happens in that space. There are no extra space. There is no gathering outside in a large area for salah. Some people have this notion that there's a sleeping area and there's an open area for prayers. No, you actually you're completely packed in, and you sleep and you pray and you eat all in the same area. Okay. So time comes to depart. Next day, the day of Arafat, using Al-Mashayir train. The train consists of 12 cars. Each holds 250 passengers, 3,000 people altogether. There are 3 stations in Mina, 3 stations in Arafat, 3 stations in Muzdalifah. Our designated station is station number 3. Mina 3, Arafat 3, Muzdalifah 3. When do we leave? I have no idea. Nobody has any idea. That is decided by the ministry and communicated to us literally the day before. They will tell us when do we leave. Is it in the middle of the night? Is it right after Fajr? We don't know yet. And that's because of the way the trains is scheduled. And I'll explain that next. The buses are not allowed. You don't have an option to say, I don't want to go take the train, I'll take the bus. Anybody in that area, the whole reason why they created the train station to alleviate the congestion on the road is that those people have to take the train, so there's no buses required there. And so we have to walk to and from the train station and the camp. Okay. Here's a good picture. I want you to take a good look at it. Just pause for 10 seconds, so you can study it. You can see where the camp is. You can see where the Jamarat is. You can see where Mina Station 3 is. You can see there's also Mina Station 2 and 1, and Muzdalifah 3, 2 and 1, and Arafat 3, 2 and 1. The train doesn't stop at every station. It's a point to point. When you walk to the train station number 3, you will actually fill up the train. And on that day, there's no more room left in the train, right, for anybody else to join you. Simple as that. And so you would go from station 3 in Mina all the way to station 3 in Arafat. Right? Once they actually take all the people that are supposed to board the train and leave station 3, the train will no longer come to station 3. And it'll take people from station 2 to Arafat 2, station 1 in Mina to Arafat 1. That's how they operate the train. That's why we have to ride the train in the allotted time that we're given, right? As such. But the train, when it moves from Mina Station 3 to Arafat Station 3, literally it's about 18 minutes to get there, as opposed to a bus that would take hours. So here's an example of a picture from last year that people had come out. I think they had come out just immediately after Fajr. And you can see they're just holding their backpack. If you can see anybody with a backpack only. Yep. And we're just gathered for this particular group. Families are together because the women are in separate part of the camp. You want to make sure you're there with your men, and we're going to walk from here onto the train station, right? So here's an idea. You're going to come out of your camp. You're going to go through any one of these circular buildings that I'm pointing out as escalators, elevators. They will go all the way to the roof on the top. And you're going to walk all the way down to where the Mina station is. That's a good about 25 minutes, 30 minutes walk. Some of them is graded. So a little bit of huffing and puffing. However, those who require wheelchair, they still have to come to a part. They still have to walk partially before the service of wheelchair is provided by the authorities over there. Okay. You can see I've also marked the Jamarat. The first camp, Jamarat al-Sughra, this is the small shaitan. The second one is the middle shaitan. And the last one is the big shaitan. Those are the canopies on top of the Jamarat. So we'll depart according to our program. Your HUD guide will tell you. You just have to be ready and in your tents. You don't have to go and crowd the front gates. So you'll leave when the time comes to leave, and we'll try to gather outside to unite the family and put the group together, and then we'll walk. Okay? If you're planning to stay the entire night until Fajr, for the last couple of years, when we arrived in Arafat, we were all given a sleeping bag and a mat to be used in Muzdalifah. You don't need to take any blanket from Mina per se, and we must ride the trains in allotted times. When we get to Arafat, so imagine 30-minute walking to the train station. I want to picture this. When I say rest and pace yourself, because it's physically exhausting, you walk 30 minutes. So I tell people, if you're going to Arafat tomorrow, then after Isha, if there's nothing happening, you've had your meal, go to sleep. Take that long sleep if you can. Get up early for Fajr. and then after that, you're all ready to go, right? That is to say, we know what the timing is. You still have to walk from the Arafat train station to the camp. And there, the tents are different. The tents are large tents, separate for men and women, AC units inside. But because the tents in the front is always open, in the daytime, it becomes fairly warm. Indoor carpeting, there's some outdoor areas as well for carpeting to sit outside in the camp. Some trees have matured, so you get some shade. North American style toilets, open buffet meals, and most importantly for me is that you have enough drinks that you always keep 2 or 3 water bottles in your backpack. Don't worry about it. Oh, I'll take it later on. I'll take it around 4:30, 5 o'clock before leaving, so it remains cool. By the time you get to take it at 4:35, there's nothing left. So make sure you have some with you. And this is where you use the rehydration salt, right? Because you're going to be dehydrated. You're going to lose your electrolytes. This is where you actually take that with you. Okay. Here's a picture of it. On the left side, you can see this large tent, right? These are the bedding still provided because people tend to actually arrive in the morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning, they're there. If they left after Fajr, 8:30. What do we do? The activities doesn't start till the zawal, after Zohar time. What I tend to do when I tell people to do, take a nap, sleep for an hour or two, get up at 10:30 and then walk into the bathroom, get ready for Dhuhr and Asr, then come and sit down. Find a place and sit down for Dhuhr and Asr and the khutbah of Arafat. On the right side is a picture of, I believe, people that are getting ready for Dhuhr and Asr. They've already woken up, they've already gone in, or they've just arrived, one or the other. I can't tell which one it is as such. And this is an example of the tent we had last year in Arafat. So you're not used to this accommodation. You're not used to how close proximity in Mina and Arafat as such. And this is something you have to get used to. Rest in the morning and prepare for the sleep in the afternoon. This is the whole reason why you're there. Don't sleep in the afternoon. People get sick because they have been praying tahajjud, they've been praying all these things in Mecca while they were there for the 4 days. So when it came to Arafat, they're already very tired. They've lost some of their immunity, right? And so this is what I tell people, make sure you understand your main reason is to be able to have presence of heart and presence of mind when you're doing Umrah, and the next thing is when you're in Arafat. So we will have Dhuhr and Asr prayers led by Sheikh, both in the women's side and the men's side. There'll be khutbah of Arafat. There'll be lunch served, but there'll be time then for you to have individual supplications inside the camp or go find something outside. But stay within the gated compound. Don't go outside. There's no need for you to go to the Jabal. There's no need for you to go to Masjid Nimra. All of place of Arafat is a place of standing. They said the Prophet ﷺ. So make sure you maximize your time there, right? Maximize your time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing is prescribed as to what you say. Nothing is prescribed as to what you say. The Prophet ﷺ said, I and the Prophet before me, the best thing we said on that day was La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika la lahul mulku wa lahul hamd wa huwa ala kulli shayin qadir. Such a powerful affirmation of in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so this is the time where you have those 4 hours between after Dhuhr and Asr till Maghrib for you to plead your case to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any language you want as such. This is not the time to talk business. This is not the time to do anything else. So you spend your time in remembrance and in pleading and in gratitude and in shukr and in repentance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you make dua for yourself and also for the needs that you have in this dunya and the akhirah. This is where you need your presence of heart, presence of mind. That's why you pace yourself prior to that and you rest prior to that. Despite the circumstances, despite the crowdedness in the camps and so forth, right? Quad rooms will be crowded. You can see that when people are 4 in the room. You can see crowd in Mina, and that's the nature of Hajj itself. Right? When we depart from Arafat to Muzdalifah, it's not a cakewalk either. You spend the entire day, some of it outdoors, standing on your feet, making wuquf, crying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Maghrib just happened and you're about to move to the camp. Well, we're not over yet. A lot of people don't take care of themselves, especially the fluids that they take. They get dehydrated, they faint, they pass out. Hydration is very important. Please remain hydrated. You will ride your train in the allotted time. Make sure you are with your group. People Generally speaking, not just us, anybody in that camp area, they don't actually listen to the allotted time. They all want to get out after Maghrib to the train station. They all want to be the first to get to Muzdalifah. As a result, you are standing in the train station with huge lines, and I mean huge lines in Muzdalifah. Before you even approach this train station, it's a stop and go and stop and go and stop and go. So if you're elderly, if you can't stand for too long, get yourself a stool, right? One of those collapsible stool I've seen people use, and probably bought it from Amazon, or the stool. Just make sure you carry the stool, because you'll be standing for such a long time, you might as well sit down. Otherwise, there's no place to sit. You'll sit on the road. You'll be standing for a while. There are ramps. Once I'm inside the train station, I start climbing a ramp with steps that leads me to the platform. That part of ramp and steps to the platform, that part itself could be an hour by itself, right? And didn't have much to drink. Well, that's why you had carried some extra bottles of water with you in your bag. I actually take some of my electrolyte powder, and I'll mix 2 or 3 bottles when I put them in my backpack. So if so I can have it and somebody else doesn't have it, I can share it. So this is important. This is important for you to take a sip at a time, remain hydrated. You'll be standing for a long time. I wanted to paint the picture, brothers and sisters, as it is. I don't want to make it rosy. I want you to be physically, mentally, psychologically prepared for this journey. While it's physically exhausting, while it's physically testing, trust me, the spiritual high is undescribable. That feeling that you get inside is undescribable. It's very emotional. And I want every one of you to experience that emotion and that spiritual high despite all the challenges physically there. When you arrive in Muzdalifah, walk from the train station to the area which is carpeted. Now, this is where things happen differently. Let's say we all get in line up and we all get in to this train station. Train station is when you get to the train, half the people get on the train and the other half didn't. What happens? If I have a group of 45 people, I tell them, make sure families remain together. Your husband and wife, both of you should be in the train. Don't split up in the train. They try to do that crowd control wise, right? But my half group went in, the other half didn't go in. The other half that went in is looking for Brother Azhar, and he's nowhere to be found because he got stuck back in Arafat. So there'll be sufficient amount of people from Seera with some sort of a banner or flag. You have to follow them to get to the camp, right? We'll try to do as much as we can. If somebody gets there earlier, sends me a pin drop, we'll send that over to in the WhatsApp group. But we'll actually get there, and when you get there, the area is carpeted. When I say be considerate of others when occupying space, is because when we go and take our space in that area to spend the night, we're not considerate of others. Remember, people are still coming. The last group that comes in, they're having a hard time finding space. You'll go there, you'll offer Maghrib and Isha together in congregation. You'll have some meals and drinks, right? Maybe people don't drink much, eat much, but drink. Energy bar comes in handy here. You will collect pebbles from Rami Jamarat. Last time they actually gave us the pebbles, we didn't have to collect it. And just make sure you use the sleeping bag or mat for sleeping. When you go to the washroom, never go by yourself, especially the ladies. You don't want to get lost there, right? So make sure you go twosome and threesome and wait for each other to be able to head back, right? So this looks nice, this picture. You can see the people, right? This is completely empty. But you notice there are small signs there. I don't know whether you can see the numbers in the wall in the back, 46, 47. These are the group numbers in the back. And you see some people that have come in and started to, take their space. These are all men, and on the partition on the right side, there's half wall that you see on the right side in the corner. On the other side are women, right? Now this looks peaceful, but it becomes pretty well like this, right? As other groups come in, the space is getting occupied. None of that red carpet will be visible to you by the time you're done. But since even the last group comes in, they have a hard time with finding space at all. You're all exhausted. You just want to go pray Maghrib and Isha and crash if you can, right? Now, from the train, we'll have two you have two departures. The wajib is for you to stay till Fajr. It is wajib for you to stay till Fajr. However, the Prophet ﷺ excused the women and the children and the elderly and the sick to be able to leave after half the night. So they start running the trains past midnight. So if you are going to decide to leave in the middle of the night, then you'll go with someone, not necessarily your own guide, but some guides will depart in the middle of the night to go to the train station and head back to Mina. And some will stay till the morning after Fajr. You have to make sure you're with the correct group. So what you don't want to do is you say, no, I think I can handle it till after Fajr. And after that group has departed in the middle of the night, you decide, okay, I changed my mind. I want to go now. There's nobody there to take you. So chances are you'll stay there till Fajr, right? So remember, you understand that, and we'll let you know when the time comes. When I arrived back in Mina, just imagine that for a moment, right? So I spent the time in Mina on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah into the 9th. It's a new area with a lot of people. I probably didn't get good sleep. I got up before Fajr. After Fajr, I walked to the train station and I went to Arafat, and I was so excited. I didn't get much rest in Arafat. I spent the entire day in Arafat. Then I spent the night in Muzdalifah while it's sleeping in a sleeping bag. I just couldn't sleep properly. That's 2 nights in a row. We're not done yet. Right? You still have a lot of walking. So that's why I keep saying, get used to the idea of sleeping for half an hour, napping for 1 hour. Make sure you're rested. You come to the train station, Mina Station 3, there's a big walk here. And the walk will take you through the Jamarat. On that day of Eid, on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, you have to do is throw 7 stones in Jamratul Kubra. Once you throw the 7 stones, you don't go straight, you don't go left, you make right. Make sure you make right, because their camp is to the right. If you go straight, you're lost. You're somewhere else. And the authorities enforce one way, because the issue with stampedes and stuff happens because of not being enforcing one way. They will enforce one way. You go one way, you can't come back that way. So you go to the right. More instruction will come later on. You come down one of these 2 buildings that you see in front, and then you come downstairs, and then you walk across to your camp. Right? Once you get to the camp, you've already done the Rami of that day. Then it's a matter of finding out, okay, how do I get to my hotel? So I can go there and find a barber there. Maybe there's a barber available in the camp. They can cut my hair. Then I can go to my hotel room and I can get out of ihram and shower and change and stay in the hotel room, right? But I have to be returned by Maghrib. It is required of you to spend at least more than 50% of the night in Mina. So I have left on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah on the day of Eid, and I have left to go to the hotel. And I'm going to be so exhausted that as soon as I'm done with my ihram and I showered and changed, I'll probably crash. Then right after Asr, I'll be told to let's go, get on the bus again. And the bus is going where? Bus is going slowly towards Mina. Again, you have to stop on the other side of the tunnel and walk for about 1.5 miles to get to your camp. Okay? Now, should I perform Tawaf al-Ifada that day? You can, if you have the energy and the strength. If you don't, that's fine. You can do it the next day. So you're now on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. You're going to go to the hotel, change, and then return back to camp before Maghrib. Now, you're back in the camp. So you go past half the night on the 11th of Dhul Hijjah in the morning, early in the morning after you spend half the night. Again, you'll take the bus back to your hotel. You're going to spend Fajr there, you're going to spend Zuhr there, and you're going to return back after Asr. So you're going to have your breakfast in the hotel. This is the time to make Tawaf al-Ifada. If I didn't do it on the 10th, then when I come back after midnight into the camp, from the camp into my hotel, that's the time to make wudu and make Tawaf al-Ifada. It'll be relatively less people. And then go back in my room and rest. And then I'll return to Mina after Asr. And then when I come back, I have to still do Rami of the 11th. And that is all 3 Jamarat. And make sure that you follow the instructions. Don't go there individually. And this time I'm not returning to the hotel. I'm going to stay overnight in my camp, because the next day the Hajj is over. 11th of Dhul Hijjah is, in the 12th of Dhul Hijjah, Hajj is over. So your guide will help you with the, returning to the Mina camp, timing and so forth. So how do you go for Rami Jamarat? Not sure there. You'll probably walk on this King Fahad Road to his building called escalator number 1. go up to whatever level is open, walk through this area, stop at the first Jamratul Sughra, throw 7 stones, make dua to the one side, and then Jamratul Wusta, and then Jamratul Kubra, and then return back to your hotel. This is the 15 minutes one way and 15 minutes return. That's the advantage of Majal Kabsh. On the day 12, the last day of Hajj, end of the manasik of Hajj, you still have to do Rami Jamarat at all 3 Jamarat, and that'll be the end of manasik, and you return to your hotel. Your guide will provide you the schedule of when to depart from Mina and return back to your hotel. Right? So that's Majal Kabsh. So, brothers and sisters, those who are in Majal Kabsh, hopefully you paid attention. And now we're talking about Al Muassim camp. Okay. Al Muassim camp is where it's located. Let's talk about this. You're going to get there on the 8th. And you're going to do the same thing as those, pray Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha in congregation, stay overnight, get plenty of rest because the next day you're going to go to Arafat. Okay. So you can see in Al Muassin accommodation the same thing. You have a garbage bin there. You have camp locations, the hallway to walk through. This is a good example of the foam sleeper chair. You can see how it's all covered in plastic. They always use new stuff. And you see those 2 beds, right? So they have unfolded those foam sleeper chair. So one sleeps on one side, one sleeps on the other side. The head is on the left and the right, and the feet is in the middle. You can see how congested it becomes. And if you look closely on the left side, against the wall, you see these luggage racks. They're in white. Those are the luggage racks. Okay. And so your roll-on bag and your backpack goes on the luggage rack. And you take one of those that'll be assigned to you. Men will be separate, women will be separate. Notice that you have these half walls, right? And the reason for the half walls is on the picture on the right side. So when the time comes for salah, the imam will stand in the one that's closer to the direction of the Kaaba. And because it's a half wall, you should all be able to pray in Jama'ah if you fold the foam sleeper chair. And then, of course, you'll see a lecture being given by the imam here, right? As such. That's exactly the accommodation in Mina. Departing from Mina to Arafat is different. Departing from Mina to Arafat is using air conditioning buses, but they're not your own private buses assigned to you by group. These are rotational buses to be used to shuttle between Mina, Arafat, and Muzdalifah. So now the buses are taking people from Mina to Arafat. And just there's only so many buses. They use a specific road so they can come back and not get stuck in congestion. But they still have to go through a schedule will be developed by among Hajj service providers that are there. Different Hajj service providers are there, and they're going to decide when your turn will come through, and your group guide will tell you. You have to go to the boarding area so that people don't crowd the buses, and then you'll be taken to Arafat accordingly. So it'll be departure will be according to the program. You don't take your roll-on bag with you because you're in ihram. You're going to leave your change of clothes and stuff in there. You're going to take your hand carry luggage. No, you're going to take your backpack that has the prayer mat, that has the Quran, that has the dua book, that has your medicine, and you also take your sleeping bag with you. Why? The lightweight sleeping bag for those in Muassim, as I said, sometimes it has happened more than once because you're shuttling from Arafat to Muzdalifah. By the time you get to Muzdalifah, there is no sleeping bag to be had. So you're better off going and purchasing a lightweight 2-pound filling or no more than 2-pound filling, a sleeping bag from home if you're going to spend the night in Muzdalifah. You should take the lightweight sleeping bag with you in your check suitcase. And when you're packing for Mina, take it with you and take it with you to the camp in Mina, take it with you to Arafat, and you can always leave it in Muzdalifah after using it. Okay? So here's an example of a picture of a waiting area. So you don't want to open up the door when the bus comes in, 100 people are running after the bus, you one bus, right? So they will actually bring you in this area. You sit down. When the bus comes in, the door opens from the other side, so only these people exit and board their bus. They'll manage that. Arafat has large tents. You have indoor areas and outdoor areas. Lunch will be provided, probably a boxed lunch, and there's enough drinks. Make sure you have enough drinks with you so you remain hydrated, okay, in hot weather. And here's an example of the accommodation, the same example that you saw in before. This is example of an accommodation in Al Muassim as well. I've already gone through this with others. You are to pace yourself so you can rest and you can then you can pay attention with your heart and your mind on the day of Arafat, right? Pray Dhuhr and Asr in congregation, attend the khutbah, don't be distracted, and then you'll have time for individual wuquf. Then later on in the afternoon, around 3:34, you will see people making dua in groups. You can join them if you want. If you want to prefer to do your own du'as, you can. There's nothing wrong. There's no requirement that you must be in group supplication. Some want the group supplication, and some prefer to have their own. It's up to you. But there will be group supplications also held there. Don't go outside the gated area. There's no point. Don't get lost. It's considered one of the worst places to get lost. And again, you'll depart from Muzdalifah after Maghrib, again on shuttle buses based on a schedule. So you might just sit there in Muzdalifah, you might say, wait a minute, sorry, in Arafat, you might say, Maghrib has already happened, it's already dark, it's almost Isha time. And some people will leave late, some people will leave early. It starts after Maghrib, and it will just keep shuttling people till the last of them get there. Brothers and sisters, when we used to take the bus, when I used to be in Al Muassim camp, and I used to take the bus immediately after Maghrib, I used to call it the worst traffic jam in the world. Literally, a distance of 7 kilometers was covered in 7 hours. The bus would move 20 meters, 30 meters. Not only would he stop and brake, he would turn off his ignition because he knows he's not going to go anywhere soon. So it just stop and go, stop and go. And part of the reason was because people, when they get to Muzdalifah, they start occupying this place right on the road. It congests the road itself. So it is considered one of the toughest places to go to. People used to arrive at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock to Muzdalifah to pray Maghrib and Isha. That's how congested it becomes, right? So they have a special road for those who are using this shuttle services to get you there earlier. But you still have to wait your turn till you get there, right? And we'll advise you of your time, you are using shuttle buses. There could be considerable wait in Arafat before you get there. Muzdalifah, separate areas. It'll be carpeted again. Again, I would say to you, be considerate of others because not everybody ends up getting a carpeted area. You will pray Maghrib and Isha. You will get a boxed meal and drinks. The sleeping bag that you take from home, you'll use it there. You can leave it afterwards. Don't ever go by yourself to the washrooms alone. Please go as a threesome or twosome. If it's an elderly person, please make sure somebody goes with that person. You can stand there and you can say, oh, I can see the bathroom. But when you get there and you turn around, you can say, I don't know where I came from. Which direction did I come from? It's so symmetrical. So make sure that you go together and you have some landmarks to know how to get back. So here's the pictures of Muzdalifah. I don't want to scare you, but this is a picture that tells you exactly how people are in Muzdalifah. You see that? Anywhere they can find space, they park themselves, right? There's no order to it. Now, if you came in early, you'll find space. If you came in late, you'll say, where's my space? You have to find space, ask people to move around, right? Here's another example of people sleeping in Muzdalifah. Here's another example. Right? So it's one of those things you have to go through. You have to exercise patience and remember you're still in ihram. Remember you're still in dhikr, but you spend the night because the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to descend upon the people who are in Muzdalifah. Your chances are all the buses will end up going to Muzdalifah. So assume we're going to stay until Fajr after Muzdalifah. And if somebody says, but I like to leave in the middle of the night, that really depends on transportation that's available to take you. Because imagine thousands of people being brought in shuttle buses. The buses may not be there. It's shuttling back and forth. Where are they parked? Is 1 or 2 buses available? Is 3 buses available? That is dependent on if transportation is available to take some people in the middle of the night. Otherwise, you stay until Fajr and everybody moves in shuttle buses one by one. until everybody's taken from Muzdalifah to Mina. Some people don't even wait. Some people will say, you know what, I've prayed my Fajr prayers, I'm not waiting my turn. Let's go. Just get on, and walk to Mina. And another 2 hours of walk to get to Mina, to the camp. So you'll see all those combinations. Rami Jamarat, because the distance is far, the guide will tell you when best to go, and always go as a group and not individually, and take an umbrella and stay hydrated, please. So here's the path from Al Muassim. Actually, there's a tunnel. Most of it is shaded, but it's still going to be hot. And you actually take the tunnel all the way through to get to the Jamarat. So this is where you go from Muassim camp through the tunnel. And if you look carefully, there are two entrances. One is coming in and then making a left, going through the Jamarat, then making that old circle, and then back inside the tunnel, back to the camp. So it's about an hour just to walk there, and then going through the Jamarat, another hour to walk back. Okay. Tawaf al-Ifada will be based on schedule. The government knows, even though they manage the buses over there, they know people have to go for Tawaf al-Ifada. They will actually schedule buses for that, and we will then divide that into group and program. Those are in the hotel. You're all in non-shifting. You might say, how do I get back to the hotel? They don't, even if they provide the bus to the Haram, they don't provide it to specific hotel. Because these are shuttle buses owned by the government, they will provide it to the Haram. So if you're in Swiss Hotel, you're in Fairmont, you might get dropped off somewhere in the Haram and you have to walk to the hotel. And you also have to know how to get back to the camp, and where do I have to go and to catch this bus again back to the camp, right? As such. So again, we'll have to work something out. It depends on what the schedule availability is, right? It is managed by the authorities, and it's really subject to availability of the buses, because that place is completely shut down as far as traffic is concerned. But remember, you have to spend the nights in Mina. That's wajib, that's required as part of Hajj. And more details will come through by your Hajj guide at that time, as such. On the day 11th, you'll perform Rami Jamarat and all three Jamarat, and you'll stay overnight. If you had not done Tawaf al-Ifada on the day 10, on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, then you do it on the 11th. It's perfectly okay to do that. And on the last day, you will do the Rami Jamarat based on the instruction given to you by your group leader. And then the schedule of departing Mina so you can get back. It's very crowded. The roads are crowded. Most of the majority of the people are leaving. Some want to stay till the 13th. If they want to do, we can make arrangement for that. But normally, majority of them will go back to their hotel on the 12th. So once you're back, Hajj is over, you're coming back on the 12th, you still have a couple of nights before your flight. So you stay there, both A and B, in your hotel in Swiss and in Fairmont. And we will tell you when to perform Tawaf al-Ifada. General rule of thumb is that you perform Tawaf al-Ifada approximately 10 to 12 hours before departure. Some people do it earlier than that. And we'll tell you exactly when to come down, what about your luggage, it gets on the bus to get to Jeddah airport. All of that instruction will be provided to you, so then you can depart, inshallah. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, grant you the honor to be his guest, to visit his sacred house, to complete Hajj with ease and safety, and may Allah accept from you every effort you make towards performing Hajj, and bless you for spending in this cause, and may Allah be pleased with you in this dunya and the akhirah. Now I'm going to give you his important updates. And number one, in regards to some people getting cancellation of their custom flights. By the way, this does not apply to group flights. Custom flights are being canceled that you had booked, and you're being given options of another flight. So basically, if you are the one that is affected, if you receive that email and the new flight option is compatible with your package itinerary, in other words, you're coming in a few hours late, 2 or 3 hours late, then you can accept that new flight itinerary. But if the new flight option is not compatible because you're coming in and losing 1 night or 2 nights in Medina, then what we're asking you to do is wait, don't accept it, and work with your Hajj team to secure a better option, right? So if you're coming in on the 18th of Dhul Hijjah, instead of coming in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they're giving you a flight, or coming in at 6 o'clock in the evening, that's acceptable. It's still starting the same day. But if you're starting an accommodation on the 18th and they're giving you a flight that's coming in on the 20th, then you're missing out 2 days. It doesn't reduce the price, by the way. You're not going to be there in Medina until the 20th. Then you may want to not accept that and work out the secure with the Hajj team to secure a better option. With either one or two, please do share a selection. We need to know. Share selection with your Hajj services team via email. Email that agent that you're communicating with and say, here's my new option that I've accepted. So we would know which flight it is that you're going to be traveling on. This is custom flights only, not group flights. Again, not group flights. Those who book through Al Musafir, custom flights, that's the one being affected. Number two, Hajj visas are being issued. Some people are receiving it, but you receive it in your email inbox. We anticipate all the visas will be issued by April 17th. Please check your email inbox. And by the way, sometimes it doesn't show up in your inbox. So please also check your spam folder. Which email? The email you specified in Nusuk. That's the email, right? If that's the email that you specified in Nusuk, that's the email they're going to send it to you. But if you don't receive it by April 18th, then reach out to your Hajj services agent and they can start the inquiry process for you, okay? And those are the questions that I have, the updates that I have for you. We'll basically open up stop the share here and open up the Q&A box and then allow you to actually ask questions. So I'll just open it up right now. Okay, so Q&A is now open and hopefully I've answered many of your questions. Please proceed and ask questions that you may have so I can try my best to answer them, inshallah. Okay, I'll wait for the questions to be posted before I start. Brothers and sisters, I'm not looking at the chat boxes. If you started asking questions in the webinar chat, I have not. Please ask the question again in the Q&A so that I can answer them, inshallah. Okay, I got sufficient questions. Let me start answering. The photos show men and women together in Muzdalifah. Are they separated this year? We always separate men and women together. They always have separate section. As I said, it is us. It is they who choose. No, I don't want my wife to be separate from me. And this is what I mean by be considerate others when you use the space. No, I don't want her to be separate, or she doesn't want to be separate from her husband because I'm going to get lost. This fear of getting lost. And so they crowd together among the men. It makes it very difficult for the man to be in that area. So it's not us. We actually do and have them in separate areas, but we don't. It's very difficult to enforce it. You have to use common sense. You're not supposed to be together, but sometimes they just don't listen, and they are sometimes together. Most of the time, no. In Majid al-Qabs last time, they were all completely separate. In Al-Muassim, because it's a wide area and there are far too many in Al-Muassim camp as compared to Majid al-Qabs, we've had those issues where women actually refuse, or the men actually refuse to have their women go in a separate area. We'll try to do our best, but that's still possible that they don't actually adhere to the requirement. Brother Khalid, you're asking me, do WhatsApp work in Saudi if using US number? Brother Khalid, the WhatsApp seems to work, but I've had issues with it being spotty. So, in terms of WhatsApp live calls, that's what you mean by making a phone call on WhatsApp. Generally, it's blocked as such. And so I would say the best thing for you to do is not rely on it. And best thing you to do is either you take a international voice and data plan from your service provider here in the United States, or get a SIM over there, or use a third party application. If you have not attended my general logistics webinar that was held last weekend, then please do, because I go through it in some detail in that one. There's a recording available. Do women pray in Jamaat in Mina? Yes, they do. I mean, if there's just a woman only, then we have that. Sometimes we'll have a sheikh who's going to give a lecture women can lead them and also give a lecture. Yes, they do pray in Jama'ah as well. If I need to back earlier than the group flight for my work, can I buy a one-way ticket myself? The requirement that they have is very simple. They want you to have a flight that is either a group flight or the flight into and out of the kingdom through al-Musafir. As long as you buy them through Musafir, yes, you can do that. But outside of Musafir, then they would have clocked you as not having left the kingdom, right? And that could cause an issue. For Al-Muassim camp, is taking sleeping bags mandatory? Do they not provide it at all? Sister Alia, they provided it last year, but they provided it when you arrived in Muzdalifah. And so what happened when the last few groups arrived, they basically said, sorry, we're out. That's exactly, sorry, we're out. Now what do you do? That's why I'm suggesting that, you're probably better off taking a 2-pound filling bag with you. They did provide it, but you ran out, depending on when you actually had your shuttle scheduled between Arafat and Muzdalifah. Basim, you're asking me, can Majal Cups pilgrims elect to bring their carry-on with them to Mina, and confirming that they don't have to pack sleeping bags. But the Basim, so far, I have been in Majal Cups camp for the last few years, and I've had no issues of them giving out sleeping bags. And they do not give out sleeping bags in Muzdalifah. They give you sleeping bag in Arafat, and you carry it with you. So I don't think the sleeping bag has been an issue last year, the year before that, and the year before that. As far as bringing your carry-on with you, if you are one of those that says, I know I have none shifting and I have my hotel available, but I'd rather stay in Mina, I want to bring my change of clothes with me in my carry-on bag, you certainly can bring it, because there's enough room for you to put your carry-on bag. Nothing's stopping you from bringing it except the inconvenience of having you carry it with you in any way, any place you're going. So if you want to bring your carry-on, yes, but I wouldn't take the carry-on to Arafat. You can bring them to Mina if you wanted to do that. Sister Aisha, your question is, Walaikum Salam, does our group book time for us in Medina for Rauda? That's one question. And can we bring our own chair from USA, like a picnic folding chair? Please advise. Sister Aisha, number one, the plan is for the service provider to provide for group Rauda booking. But what we're asking people to do is, once you get your visa, go download the Nusuk app and register yourself in it. And then when the Rauda opens, try and book one. Because we don't have any clarity about the Rauda booking timing, because there are different groups with different timing. We will try to get, it's not us doing it, it's the service provider will try to get you a Rauda booking. But if you had your own booking as well, you can go on both, or you can just go on your own. As far as own chair from USA, like a picnic folding chair, those stools that are available in the haram. When you go to the haram, there are stools there. It's a folding stool that use it and put it back. You can buy them over there. And I think it's $20 or less. So rather than carrying it with you, the folding chair, if you wanted to carry it with you, whatever is comfortable, you can do it, or you can buy it in Medina. If you're starting in Medina, you can easily get it from there. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum. Is it possible to get transferred from Muzdalifah directly to the Jamarat on Eid day, so we don't have to walk an hour from Muassim camp? Brother Nasir, it's a good idea. People sometimes will say, I will go straight to the Jamarat, and I will throw my 7 stones, and I'll walk further outside of Mina, and I'll take a transportation from there and go to my hotel. You can do that. but you also need to know how to get back. You can take the transportation back to the Jamarat and walk back 1 hour to your camp. But it is not something that I can tell you, yes, we'll do this. It is something that will be decided at that time. The ability for people to take a bus and go straight to Muzdalifah versus to the Mina camp. This is not something that I will decide. The transportation is controlled by the ministry, and the ministry most likely will say, no, people go back to the camp, and Jamarat is completely out of scope. That is something that's to be decided later on. Which date is the 8th of Zulhijjah? I believe it's the, let's see, 24th. 21st is the 4th, 5, 6, 20. I think it's the 20. No, you got me. Just hold on a second. 8th of Zulhijjah. Okay. 8th of Zulhijjah is going to be the 25th of May. 9th of Zulhijjah is the 26th of May. That's according to Qura calendar. So I'm going by that. Salam. When can we expect the group flight reservation number? Also, how is the transportation done to Mina for Al Muassim since there is no train? I already went through the transportation to Mina from the from the hotel in Mecca to Al Muassim is by bus. From the camp in Mina to Arafat and Muzdalifah is by shuttle buses controlled by the government. No train at all used in the Mashayar for those who are in Muassim camp. The group flight reservation, I believe we mentioned that you should be getting them somewhere around the 18th or 19th of April, and we will certainly let you know once the tickets are issued and they're entered into the system. We should be able to start sending them out at that time, inshallah. I've already answered the question about WhatsApp application work in Saudi Arabia, keeping your US number. It is spotty. It has worked for those calling from US number to US number, but not necessarily that it worked for a US number to a Saudi number as such. But you can use third-party applications as well. But I would say that the minimum requirement that we asked last time in the logistics session was that you must be able to use your phone outside the Wi-Fi zone. If you're thinking of using only WhatsApp in a Wi-Fi zone, then when you're in Mina and Arafat and Muzdalifah, there is no Wi-Fi zone. So you must be able to have a data plan that allows you to use the phone, regardless of what the number is on it. So if you're thinking of avoiding a SIM and just being in the Wi-Fi zone, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should be accessible, being able to make call or receive call when you're not in the Wi-Fi zone. WhatsApp does not always work. There is WhatsApp-based live calls. I think I've already explained, Sister Ali, about group permit. It has to be issued by the service provider. That's why we're asking you to download the Nusuk app and book individually. If the service provider does that, then you have 2 appointments. Do we have to bring sleeping bags prior to departing, or will they be provided to us? Sister Yusra, those in Majr al-Kabsh has, for the last 3 years, been provided sleeping bags, have had no issues. Those in Al-Muassim, they are supposed to provide it, but for the last couple of years, by the time they got to Muzdalifah, they were told we're out of sleeping bags. And so you were without sleeping bags. And so I'm saying for those who are in Muzdalifah that you might be better off buying a 2-pound sleeping bag for $15, $20 just in case they run out, in case you get to Muzdalifah late. Brother Irfan, if you arrive in Medina at 3:15 a.m., will the hotel be ready for a check-in at that time? 3:15 a.m. of which date? Please send this question to your Hajj service provider in an email. Thank you. On the day of Eid for Muassim camp, how and where do we get transferred to Haram for Tawaf al-Ifada? As I said, Brother Nasir, the schedule will be developed by those who control the transportation. That is done by the Ministry of Hajj for the buses to depart al-Muassim to go for Tawaf al-Ifada. If those who do not do it on Eid day, they will also give you schedule to depart the next morning after Fajr to go and do Tawaf al-Ifada. You can do it on both days as such. You can do it even after that. So this is not something that I can tell you how, where. It will be from the camp to the Haram to perform Tawaf al-Ifada, but as to the when part, it'll be decided by them, and you will know the schedule when you get there. I have an elderly mother traveling with me. They are non-shifting Major al-Kabsh. Do you recommend getting a wheelchair from USA? Sister Fatima, as long as you're there to push the wheelchair for her when she's in Medina and Mecca hotel-wise, then I would say you're better off when you arrive in Medina, go to any pharmacy and buy a wheelchair. It'll probably cost you less than $100. When you buy a wheelchair, take with you from USA a bicycle lock. You know, one of those chain bicycle lock that you can lock up the wheel, because chances are you might not be able to put your wheelchair inside the camp. In the hotels, you'll keep it in the room. But in the camp, if you have to leave it outside, somebody will take it. So you're better off locking the wheels. So take a bicycle lock with you, but wheelchairs are readily available in the pharmacies in both Mecca and Medina. Sister Fawzia, I cannot answer your question about a room for two in Medina, but in Mecca the room is for three people. Can I stay in the same room with my husband in Medina? And is it possible to request a room for two in Mecca? Please send that question over to your Hajj service provider agent to be able to answer it. I cannot really answer this question for you, but if you are in actually in a single profile, if you're in a separate profile, then you're gender separated. So the rooming will be done later on, and the rooming will be shared with you. But if you want to be together with your husband in Mecca, that you can request. But I'm not so sure. Sorry, in Medina, but I'm not so sure about Mecca being in a room for three. That will most likely be gender separated. But as far as changing it to a room for two, I think you have to send that question to your service provider in an email, please. We booked during first phase in February the 1st, still haven't got any visa emails. Contacted Nusuk and they said it's in the process. So brother, there is no priority. It's just because you booked earlier, you get the visa earlier, that's not how they work. So once the sale has gone to a certain point, then they start working on the visas. And who do they pick is not necessarily based on who actually bought the package and in which phase. So they have started the visa process and they will continue with the visa process. And it is anticipated they'll be done by April the 17th. Even April the 18th, you still have a month. And so we're saying to you, wait till then, check your spam folder, go check your Nusuk ID. You can sometimes see if the visa is issued, it will show, and we'll help you later on to see if your visa has been issued or not by keying in your passport number. There's probably a website that will be set up for those to do inquiries. But just wait patiently until April 18th. It's just around the corner, and you still have plenty of time. And if you still haven't received it, then contact us and we'll see what we can do for you. Salam. If you're staying in Al Muassim, is taking the train possible? Brother Ahmed, the issue is not that it's an option, is because if you notice that the train tracks are all on one side of Mina, one side of the valley of Mina as such. So Muassim is nowhere near that valley, right? And there are no buses back and forth between the train station. So they have actually arbitrarily, they have decided that those who are in the area of the train station, they have to take the train. They cannot take the bus. And that fills up the train. Even train has, long wait times as such. And that removes the congestion from the road. But the Muassim people do not have the choice of taking the train or the bus. Similarly, Major al-Kabs do not have the choice of taking the bus instead of the train. So we will still be taking the bus if you're in Muassim. Do I need to take vaccination polio as well? No, polio is not. The only vaccination that's mandated is meningitis. The rest is all recommended, right? It's not mandated. And meningitis, you need to have a proof of vaccination, which it should be in writing with the date, the name of the vaccine that was administered, and the date it was administered, and probably the place where it was administered. But no polio, no COVID, no flu shot. All those things are nice to have. You do not need to take polio. So people ask the question, why am I taking meningitis? Because we are the carrier of meningitis. Meningitis happens here in North America and Australia in this climate, and we don't want to give it to somebody else over there. So if you're in Africa, for example, they take the vaccine for yellow fever because yellow fever doesn't happen here. It happens over there, and they're coming from Africa. They don't want yellow fever to be transferred to somebody else. So they want each person coming to Hajj to be immunized from the disease that is in their country, so they don't share the disease with somebody else. So polio is not something that is required here to be taken, but it's up to you. I mean, ask your physician, but it's not required. It's not mandated. Abdul Patnam, I'm glad you asked this question. Do we come to Haram for Jummah prayer, or do we pray at Mina? Do we get transportation facilities for Jummah? This is an emotional question that people ask me every year that I do this, right? Brother, why can't I go for Jummah? It's 100,000 times reward in the Haram to pray Jummah. Yes. But are you following the Prophet ﷺ? Are you following the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ? Did you know that he performed the one and only Hajj he performed? Did you know that the day of Arafat was a Friday? Did he pray Jummah? No. Even though he was there with 120,000 people, he did not offer Jummah prayers in Arafat. He prayed Dhuhr and Asr. So, for a traveler, Jummah is not required. For a traveler who is already in Hajj, you will pray where you are based on what you have to pray at the time. If you are in Mina, I wouldn't even actually, if I'm staying in Mina, I wouldn't even actually have people gather and some sheikh give the khutbah of Jummah and pray Jummah. Because if I'm in Mina, there is no Jummah for me. It is Dhuhr for me. Right? Because that is the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He was in Arafat on the day of Jummah, one and only Hajj he did, but he prayed Dhuhr, he did not pray Jummah. Do you need to carry water bottle or other plastic water bottles? Some people carry their own water bottles, the insulated ones, if they want to carry it with them, and they stick it in their backpack. But normally the plastic ones, the water comes in water bottles. There are only two types of water you can drink over there. The bottled water and Zamzam. There's no other third type, right? So people will take those bottled water with them in their backpacks, and they'll drink it because those are available in the coolers. Those are available in the refrigerators throughout the camp in Mina. But if you want your own to pack, you can. From Muzdalifah to Mina, again, I don't understand your question. If you're saying what kind of a transportation is required from Muzdalifah to Mina, I mean, where you are, it's going to be, if it's an Al-Muassim camp, you're taking the shuttle bus. If you're in Majal Kabsh, you're taking the train. Some people, if in Muassim camp, will walk to Mina. Some people will take the bus to Mina. Just have to wait your turn. Sister Noreen, your question has been answered already. How do we get from Mina camp to a hotel if we're in Muassim camp? Do we walk? You do not walk. You cannot walk. It's far and it's hot. So the shuttle schedule will be established for you to go from Muassim camp to the hotel if it is available to do Tawaf al-Ifada, right? Specifically for Tawaf al-Ifada. But if you're thinking of shuttling every day to the hotel back and forth, this may not be possible, which is why I suggested you carry your change of clothes with you to the camp in Muassim. You might come back from Muzdalifah and may have a shuttle to go and to the Haram. It will never be to the hotel. They don't go to the hotel. The government controls the shuttle buses. Anybody going from Muassim to the Haram, it'll be for Tawaf al-Ifada. Should you choose then to go to the hotel and stay, then you have to find out where to go to catch the bus to come back, as such. But Tawaf al-Wada is when you're back in your hotel. When Hajj is over on the 12th of Hijjah, you still have a couple of days before you depart. So Tawaf al-Wada is not the issue. The issue is, do I shuttle back and forth if I'm Muassim? That is not necessarily possible. It may happen one night or one time for Tawaf al-Ifada. It may not happen the next day, which is why we're suggesting you take your change of clothes with you to Mina. We've booked our flight from Chicago with Qatar Airways, but we haven't received any confirmation yet. We've also heard that Qatar Airways will be canceling or changing routes. Okay, so Brother Irfan, if you have a group flight, Chicago to Doha to Medina and return, that is separate. What they're changing, canceling and changing are the custom flights, those who book through Musafir. So group flight, no. Custom flights, they're changing and offering a alternative option, which is what I talked about. If it's just arriving 2 or 3 hours later, you may accept it. If it's arriving by you missing a couple of days in Medina, you may not accept it and work with them till they get you a better flight option. As far as when to receive it, we expect that starting the 19th of April, you'll start receiving your group flight tickets, inshallah. Where do you leave the roll-on Mina when you go to Arafat in Muzdalifah? You leave it in your camp. You know, that overhead metal rack that you see, you leave it there. You don't have any valuables in it, right? I mean, your power bank is with you, your phone is with you, your passport and all that stuff is in your hotel room because you still retain your hotel room. So you just have to change your clothes, you know, just leave it there and just take your backpack with you to Arafat and Muzdalifah. I was able to obtain a package within 1 minute of Nusuk opening in phase A, alhamdulillah, but I still didn't get a triple occupancy. Was there no triple occupancies to begin with? Is there a separate plan for triple accommodations ongoing according to demand? Sister Fatima, I think when the sale has concluded with the type of accommodation you have, you should basically stick with that accommodation. I cannot answer as to how Nusuk works in the background, offering triple versus double. This is something beyond me to be able to know how they actually chose not to give triple occupancy in one place, but give triple occupancy at the other place. I really can't answer this question regardless of when you actually purchased the price. Was there a glitch in Nusuk? Was the hotel not offering it, therefore it was not there? Maybe it was already sold out, or maybe it was limited in quantity. I really can't answer that question. Do we need to go to Jamarat as a group from Muzdalifah or individually? I will never advise anybody go to Jamarat from Muzdalifah individually. You know those incidents that you've heard in the past, the stampede in 1990, and the ones that happened a few years ago in Sukul Arab, you know, where a lot of people got crushed and they died. Did you know which day it happened? It happened on the day of Eid, on the day people were coming from Muzdalifah. It didn't happen the following day. It didn't happen on the last day of the Jamarat. It happened on the day of Eid. In 1990, approximately 1,490 people died in the tunnel coming from Al Muassim. And I was in that tunnel at the time. And I saw what really was happening in there, and violently people were coming out of it. That was on the day of Eid. So I do not ever want anyone to go individually from Muzdalifah to the Jamarat. You know, just because you can walk it doesn't mean you should go it. And so just listen to the instructions you get, and please travel as a group, because we don't know what will be like. That's why they enforced the one way. So after that incident in 1990, the tunnel used to be a single tunnel. They made a second tunnel, and they're enforcing on one way going to the Jamarat and one way coming back. Prior to that was only a single tunnel, and 1,495 people died. That was in 1990 as such. So I don't recommend anyone going individually to the Jamarat. Is it possible to have access from Jamarat to Azizia by walk, or do I have to come to Mina camp? Um, Again, you can always go to the Azizia. I mean, there's no accommodation for you in Azizia. But you can go from the Jamarat to Azizia. It's very close to go to Azizia. After you finish with the last Jamarat, keep walking for 1.5 miles and you'll be in Azizia. What do we have to need to Arafat? What do you have to need Where do we need to go to listen to Arafat's khutbah? To masjid or inside the camp by the guide? Brother Abdul, Masjid Nimra did not exist at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. It did not exist for many years afterwards. So where did they give the khutbah? Khutbah was given by those who were there in Arafat, individual groups, right? So you don't have to listen to the khutbah of Masjid Nimra. You have a sheikh with you in the camp who will give the khutbah in the camp. All of Arafat is a place of standing. So you listen to the khutbah that's given to you in your camp. You don't have to go to the masjid. We haven't booked our Qurbani through Nusuk yet. Can we still book it now? We're working with the service provider for a solution. We'll let you know. I would say wait till another couple of weeks. We'll let you know exactly how to handle your Qurbani, and we will definitely communicate that because there are many people in the same situation as you are. Do you perform Umrah as a group or individually? This is what tends to happen. We actually come into Mecca by train. We check in. Your guide will tell you, let's gather in the lobby at such and such a time. We'll go together. Now, there are those who have been for Umrah before who will say, don't wait for me, I'll go on my own. But those who want to go as a group, they will gather and we'll walk in together to the Haram to perform Umrah as a group. Now, what tends to happen is you start the tawaf, and after one or two rounds, the group starts to split up. A, because of the crowd. B, because they got the hang of it, they understand exactly what to do, so they're on their own. So it all depends on how the group behaves itself, and sometimes it's out of their control because of the crowd. That's why it's important that of all of the actual ritual for Hajj, for those who are going to the first time, the one thing that you should know how to do by yourself, inside out, backwards, and blindfolded, is how to perform tawaf. You don't want to be in a situation where you say, oh, what is my guide? Oh my God, I don't want my guide. How do I get back to the hotel? I've missed it. Don't want to lose that moment that you are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while you're doing tawaf. Don't lose that. Don't panic. Shaitan is there. Right? You just concentrate on your one-on-one with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as you're walking around. No one has ever gotten lost getting back to the hotel. No one has ever gotten lost getting back to the hotel. So you won't get lost. The fear is, oh, I need to know how to do this. Well, no, you should have known how to do this. Learn now. Tawaf has 7 rounds. Where do you start? Where do you end? Most of the stuff is open-ended, and there's no specific dua that you have to make. Except at the Yamani corner, you make رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Other than that, what do I say? Do I follow my group leader? Will he have a transmitter and I will listen to it? No, it's your one-on-one. The Prophet ﷺ performed 4 Umrah. Does anybody know what he asked for? No, it's a one-on-one. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you a blank check. Ask whatever you want to ask. And he is the most gracious host who considers you to be his guest. So have the conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't panic looking for the group leader. So know enough that you can do your Umrah on your own. Know enough that you can do Tawaf on your own. That you can do Sa'i on your own. It's as simple as that. Because the rest of the ritual we'll do together as a group. We'll go together to Mina. We'll go together to Arafat. We'll go together to... So we'll be there to help you understand what the other rituals are. But Umrah is one of those things that is individual anyway, as such. And so you should know how to do it. We'll go as a group. As to whether you stick as a group depends on many things, including the crowd. I have an elderly mother and the plan was to get a wheelchair from Medina. Will there be a lot of walking between getting on the bus from Medina airport to our Medina hotel? So what you can do is you can, when you get the ticket, Sister Fatma, you can request wheelchair services at the airport. So your mother will have a wheelchair at the departing airport, the transit airport, the arrival airport. And that person in the wheelchair will take your mother all the way to the bus. And the bus will stop right by the hotel. And then you can get your wheelchair, right? So just request that wheelchair services with the airline. Is the sleeping bag important in Muzdalifah? Do we need it primarily for the padding or for the warmth? Sleeping bag is required for you to spend the night in Muzdalifah. So how else would you sleep? Because what's there is that whatever the ground is, whatever stones are, sand, whatever the ground is, they lay a carpet on it. And so can you lay on that carpet? It's a pretty, thick carpet, but not not padded per se. It's more like an outdoor carpet. Um, can you sleep on it? What happens if you don't find a carpeted area? What happens if it's just the ground? Because somebody else has taken away all the carpeted area. They're all everywhere scattered. They're not considerate of others. What do you do then? In the ground, will you be able to sleep on your chadar? Or you'd rather have a lightweight sleeping bag to sleep on? So it really depends on your comfort level, right? Um, if you arrive in Medina in 18th of May at 3:15 a.m., will the hotel be ready for a check-in at that time? But Irfan, I think 18th of May is where your accommodation begins. To the best of my knowledge, it will not be ready at the time. They will try to get you in as early as possible because 18th is the first of the Hijjah, so hotel is at capacity. Just think for a moment. Hotel is at capacity. There are people who are leaving on the 18th of May, but they won't leave till the afternoon. So they will do their best to accommodate you. But I think that by the time you land at 3:15, by the time you get to the hotel, it'll be more like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then they'll ask you to go and have breakfast. An extra meal will be added for you to have breakfast, and they'll get you a place to put your stuff in, go to the haram until the room is ready. I doubt very much. If you're arriving on the 19th because you're arriving one day late, yes, the room will be ready, but 18th, not likely. My flight is scheduled to be arriving to Medina on the 19th of May at 10:50 a.m. Will be missing any of the tours or other agendas items. I think, Brother Imran, we're still putting it together. I think we're trying to get our first tour arranged for the evening of the 19th, knowing that some people are coming in 18th and some people are coming in the 19th. So I don't think you'll miss anything, but that plan is not firm because we're waiting for them to actually confirm it on the other side logistically. If that is done, then you should be okay, inshallah. Do we get time to do Tawaf al-Wada? Of course you do. You'll have time to do Tawaf al-Wada. We will tell you if your flight and such, then go make Tawaf al-Wada 13 hours before departure. Right? We'll tell you that. So you'll have time to do Tawaf al-Wada. That's not a problem. Do we leave our rollover bag in Mina? Yes, you do. When you go to Arafah and Muzdalifah, you just take the backpack. Is it possible to access the train from Al Muassim camp, the station to the Jamra Muzdalifah station? No, it's not possible to access the train from Muzdalifah train station. They issue tickets for the train. It's like a wristband. And you won't have the ticket for the train as such because you're supposed to be taking the bus if you're in Muassim camp. This year, Jummah is on the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. Is there still no possibility to take a bus from Al Muassim camp to the Haram? I really don't know what the schedule will be like for the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. Normally, you will say that Hajj is over after you throw the stones, whether you throw the stones in the morning, whether you throw the stones in the afternoon. It's the authorities in Al Muassim camp that decide when do you actually get the buses. Normally, the buses on the last day, normally the buses show up in the afternoon, not in the morning. So again, it's too early for that. Um, Can you confirm the platform to buy a one-way ticket for earlier? Brother Human, I really don't know whether that is the actual the website for Al Musafir. All I know is people access Al Musafir through Nusuk platform. As to which website it goes to, I really don't know. You may ask that question of your Hajj service agent to see if they can actually answer that question for you. Okay, brothers and sisters, that's the end of all of the questions that you've asked. One thing that I want to do is, spend just a couple of minutes of your time, if you just bear with me for a moment, and I want you to understand the significance of this journey from a spiritual perspective. You're going for what? You're going for Hajj. What is the reward for Hajj? There are two things mentioned. One is the one who doesn't engage in any intimate relationship, any foul language or any arguments during Hajj and comes back home, he comes back home as the day his mother gave birth to him, completely sinless. The second one is Hajj that is acceptable. The reward is no less than Jannah. So all of the effort and the money you're spending is to gain these two things. That you come back and all the volumes of sins are wiped away, and you come back with your name being inscribed as an inhabitant of Jannah. What are you prepared to do for that? Number one, think about it. What effort are you prepared to make for it? With what mind and heart you want to actually apply yourself in this actual pillar of Islam. Number two, what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looking for when you go there? You're going through physical stuff, but what is He actually looking for? What is He looking for? That you do the rituals? Or is He looking for something else? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالُ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. On that day, which is the actual day of judgment, this is a rehearsal of the day of judgment when you stand in Arafat, you will not be able to benefit from your wealth or from your children, except for the one who comes to me with a sound heart. This is the journey for which you need to prepare your heart. You need to go resolve the issues. If you have wronged someone, seek forgiveness before you depart. If you have relationship with siblings that is broken, repair that relationship before you go. If you have parents, seek their blessing and permission before you go. Try to remove the malice from your heart, so when you appear before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you appear with a sound heart. This is why there is nothing prescribed as to what you ask for. It is something that you ask from your heart. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most generous. And He is calling you in a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ reported that the one who comes for Hajj is a guest of Allah. He's actually calling you His guest. That's the honor bestowed upon you, that you are His guest. And so the rules of how the guest behaves is mentioned in the Quran. There shall be no arguments. There shall be no quarreling. There shall be no committing sins. That's the rules already Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned to you. So you're going to His house as His guest, as He calls you His guest, and He's the most honorable, the most gracious guest. And then He's not going to let you go empty-handed. But you have to actually pour your heart to Him. Spend time every day if you can, reflecting on this and seeking Allah's grace and Allah's help to purify your heart, to purify your mind, to allow you to actually go there and perform Hajj and to ask Him to accept it from you. And this is part and parcel of the journey. We concentrate a lot on administrative and logistic side of it. And when it comes to the spiritual side of it, we concentrate on the rituals. How many times do I do this? What do I do the next? But we don't concentrate in what is our state of mind and state of heart when we're actually doing the rituals. Concentrate on that. I'm going to stand in Arafat and say, my Lord, forgive me. But have I forgiven others that have wronged me? I'm going to stand in Arafat and say, oh Lord, have mercy on me. But am I merciful to others who are around me? So think about yourself and remember, Hajj is for everyone, for the whole ummah to come at the same time. So are we related somehow? Yes, we are. There is this display of brotherhood and sisterhood. So be helpful to others. Try to help others. Try to actually smile with the person next to you when you finish with your salah, because he or she is there for the same purpose. So again, concentrate on your inner dimension of worship. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you look at the rituals, you look at it from that perspective. You make dua, it pours out of your heart because Allah has inspired you to make those dua. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us a journey with ease and with safety to His house and to return us safely back to our family. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Muhammad Malik, I need to answer your question. If your sibling doesn't want to do anything with you, then what? Brother Muhammad Malik, it's not what the other person does, it's what you do. If you approach with a sincere heart and the person rejects it, that doesn't matter as long as you approach with a sincere heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not measure you on your outcome. Did you achieve this? No. Nowhere in the Quran does it say that. Allah will measure you based on what you did, not what you achieved. It's your amal that matters. And amal has to be with purpose and sincerity. So you make the amal, you're sincere in making amends, you make the amal. The other person may reject it. Many have rejected the message of the Prophet ﷺ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him, I'm not going to hold you accountable for their actions, but you're responsible for your actions. And your action is to approach with sincerity. And the person rejects it, so be it. But you have to have that sincerity in your heart towards your sibling, towards your parents, toward those that you have hurt. And that's the more important thing. You're not measured by what you achieve, you're measured by what you do, by your amal. Nowhere in the Quran does it say it is because you've achieved it. So that's the most important part. Jazakumullah khair for listening to me. Barakallahu fikum. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.